Hello, Salwa.
Hi, Nikhil.
Welcome to my podcast, Meritainment.
Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations on your launch of this great podcast.
Appreciate it. People like you inspire me to do
I'm glad.
things such as, go ahead.
After being a guest on my podcast twice, you got inspired.
I did, yeah.
I'm glad.
I did
I
indeed.
was able to do that for you.
I did indeed. So this time I will be the host on this podcast. I'll be asking the questions.
Love it.
I guess I'll start off by asking you to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Salwa Anwarali. I am a realtor in Toronto. I've been in the business for about 2 years, but I think I'm going to be sticking around for a very long time.
Very nice. So first question, what made you want to be a realtor?
I started buying real estate about 8 years ago, 2015. And it was very exciting to go through the entire process of buying and leveraging equity to buy more. And as I started buying more real estate and understanding the power, of equity and expanding your portfolio, my day job just felt really boring. I was an HR consultant prior to becoming a realtor, and everybody around me was just not doing. I noticed that they were not doing a lot of the personal development that I was doing because I was meeting all these investors that were quitting their jobs and, surviving on rental income, doing the BRRRR strategy where you technically, keep reusing the same money over and over again. And I was like, my mind was open with all these cool ideas.
Yeah.
So the day job, the HR consulting job just felt so boring. And everybody was just like, in this rabbit hole of 9 to 5, go home, watch TV, go to sleep, come back to work. Like nothing, there's no growth happening.
Yeah.
So then in 2020, I decided to quit and take a leap of faith, become a mortgage agent. I did that for about a year.
Oh, you were a mortgage agent too?
Yeah, because I was like, there's so many realtors, which was such a bad way to think. So I got my mortgage license first.
Yeah.
And after a year of doing that in 2021, I said, I'm just going to get my realtor license. So within 6 months, I got licensed, and should have done that in retrospect. I should have done that in 2020, but here we are now. So
yeah, because you became a realtor during prime COVID.
Correct.
So it's definitely a scary time for a lot of realtors that wanted to get into the industry. I mean, it ended up being quite busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of like false confidence that a lot of realtors got in 2020 and 2021 because it was like anything you touched got sold. Like, it was so easy to sell. So the first 6 to 8 months in the business, I was like, damn, I'm good at this. Like had like 12 deals in the first 6 months.
Wow.
But in 2022, I did some really good work, but then I realized, now I got to dig deeper because nothing was happening.
Okay.
2022 May onward. So I was like, I got to dig in, find coaching, get inspired because I'm not that good. The market was good. So that's how I decided to really get serious. Signed up with Mike Ferry Coaching, and
I hear a lot of great things about that, Mike Ferry.
Yeah, he is the OG real estate trainer, and it's very inspiring to attend one of his events. And a lot of the people that I look up to in the business are Mike Ferry trained agents. So even if you don't use the entire process, the entire sales system, just being able to have that esteem thing, like I'm a Mike Ferry trained agent, that helped me for sure.
Definitely.
It helped me grow. Yeah.
So how are you finding the market right now compared to when you first joined the industry?
See, when I first joined, I noticed that a lot of people were so excited that their homes have appreciated.
Yeah.
So even if they didn't really need to move, the motivation was greed.
Okay.
Right? So it was very exciting for them to see this appreciation, see this kind of cash, and upsize into bigger homes because rates were so low. You could get mortgages at like 1 point something, which is like free money.
I remember, I think I saw 0.99 at one point.
Yeah, it was 0.99. HSBC was doing that. It was an amazing time for the motivator to be greed because it was easy to just like cash out over $1 million for some people and buy bigger homes, and hopefully those people locked in those rates at 1% or so. And then in 2020, late 2022, 2023, I started to see other reasons that people could have, you know, actually needing to upsize because of a growing family, actually needing to upsize because of a job change or move location. So the motivator became so different, and now the whole conversation is different. A lot of people, when I'm doing listing appointments or when they approach me, it's so important to understand why they want to make this move. So it's very important to be a good realtor now. Like anybody could sell whatever before, but now it's so important that you ask the right questions and actually do the market analysis and be able to guide people on if this is a right move for you.
Yes.
A lot of people that bought in 2021, if they decide to sell now, they're probably not looking at a lot of appreciation. But so you really have to ask the right questions and find out if, even if they're able to sell at the same price they bought it at, is it a good move for them to take back their down payment and maybe a little bit more and buy something that suits their needs. A lot of people are even downsizing right now, which you never saw in 2021.
No. Everybody was trying to kind of like one up or move on to something bigger because in their head they're like, if they don't jump on the train now, they're gonna miss it. I think it was that fear of missing out, right? And even a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of FOMO, and I think a lot of people that saw people making money off real estate, whether it was pre-construction, assignments, wholesaling, it became a huge craze on social media because real estate's always been a good investment. But my opinion is that it's taken off over the last couple of years because it's now so out there that you can make good money in real estate. Whether you're a realtor, whether you're an investor, whatever it is, like our country thrives on real estate, and there's money to be made. But now we're hitting a time where it's not as lucrative as it was the last couple of years. Obviously it's cyclical, but I think that we will go back to status quo hopefully within the next couple of years.
I really hope so.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there's a lot of realtors out there that might be, struggling, that got into the industry, recently. So what advice would you have for them in order to ensure that they can actually maintain a livelihood in this industry as a realtor? Without giving away, the secret sauce.
I think the most important thing is when you decide to become a realtor, know why you're doing it, right? Because a lot of people that became realtors in 2020, let's say 2018 onwards, right? They decided to become a realtor because they were thinking easy money, flexibility in my schedule. I don't have to answer to no one. If you decide to become a realtor today, just remember that's not how it's going to go.
Very true.
I love, sleeping in, and I would hate coming on time at my corporate job, 9 to 5. I would never show up at 9 o'clock. So when I became a realtor, I was thinking, things will be different now. But I'm working even harder now. I have to wake up even earlier now. My paycheck is dependent on how hard I work. So be very sure why you're making this move, because being self-employed is a completely different ballgame. You are answerable to no one, but that makes it even more important for you to shine. And if you are not going to prioritize activities that are the money-making activities, if you're not going to manage your time, you're not going to be successful. Choosing the right brokerage is very important. A lot of times, new realtors are looking at brokerages as, what training are you providing me? What are the splits going to be? How knowledgeable is the broker? But then they never show up to the trainings. So going to trainings is also very important. Don't ask about what's provided. Be there, learn from people. Partnering with the right people is very important. As much as it's going to be in your hands, like how much work you're willing to put in, you have to partner with people that are going to inspire you. Not necessarily spoon feed you and do the work for you, but just inspire you and 100%. Show you what's possible. So I would say those three things are very important right now.
Yeah, no, I think that, you hear a lot of sayings or quotes about if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, right? Yeah. So I think it's important to surround yourself around people who have accomplished what you're hoping to accomplish or align with what your goals are in the future, because the only way to actually do that or do it in a quicker way is to actually take their secret sauce, not take their secret sauce, but learn from them, right? Learn how they've progressed and what mistakes they made in order to avoid those same mistakes.
Yeah, and there's really no need to reinvent the wheel. No, there's so many successful people that literally show you what their day looks like, what their mindset is supposed to be, right? Because in in this profession, there's a lot of rejection happening.
It's at every profession. Yeah.
So you have to be strong and you have to not take things personally. So that was really hard for me. In fact, even now, there's some things that I struggle with that I don't do. Because I'd rather cold call people that I don't know than call people on my phone.
Okay.
Because I would be hurt if they say no to me. When cold calling people say no to me, it's like it doesn't faze me.
Okay.
But the people at my phone, like friends and family, if they say no, we don't want your services, that hurts. So I'm still working on that. I think by next year I will overcome that fear.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is, what does Salwa do to distract herself from real estate, outside of real estate? I mean, I'm sure you enjoy what you do.
I do.
But I find that, like, especially in your guys' industry, you need to have a lot of balance because you're always on the road. You're always, go constantly, working evenings, weekends. So I find that realtors, well, in our profession as well, everyone needs to have an outlet. So what do you kind of do to distract yourself away from real estate, especially when it was like a super hot market at that time?
Well, I do read a lot.
Okay.
I love Netflix.
Okay. Everyone loves Netflix.
I mean, I have Netflix, Amazon, Crave, Apple TV, Disney, you name it. I have it all because that's really my best outlet to watch something that is hopefully not real estate related.
Yeah.
Just like it's my form of escapism because I do read a lot of nonfiction. So TV is my only like fiction outlet. I love watching crime documentaries.
Okay.
And
what's your favorite book? Like if you had to name a book.
Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
I have listened to the Audible already, but now I'm reading the book and I'm actually making notes.
Okay.
Because that book is really powerful. And I think in the business that we're in, knowing how to influence people is really important. Influence it could be something small, like the way you sound on the phone, to the way you make eye contact in face-to-face discussions. So I'm very interested in learning those kind of psychological traits that people generally have, knowing people's personality styles, and how to make them feel like I'm there to help them rather than being salesy. We're in sales. A lot of salespeople don't like to be called salespeople, but at the end of the day, we're always selling.
We're always selling. Yeah.
So Robert Greene's podcast books are one of my favorite things to work on me as a better salesperson.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you're an active real estate investor as well. So what's your ideal type of real estate investment? Like if a client came to you and said, hey, Salwa, I know you have experience as a realtor, but you also have experience as a real estate investor. What kind of investment would you, yourself invest in and recommend to your client, I guess, especially in this market that we're in right now?
I love multifamily residential. I used to buy single family homes, but the last couple of years I've just been fascinated by multifamily because who doesn't want to own a whole building? Right? Yeah. So there's a lot of, anything more than 4 units. Okay. 5 units. So anything less than 5 units is still residential mortgages, but I want to get into the commercial side of financing. So anything more than 5 units, the deal has to make sense for the lender to give you the financing. It's not about my income and if I can afford the mortgage. It's about the money the asset is bringing in.
Of course, yeah.
So I love those as investment, even especially now. And a lot of people that I'm working with right now, they have enough equity in their home to either upsize or buy investments. Okay. So I would advise looking into multifamily. Outside of Toronto, that's my preference because there's a lot of pockets in Ontario that have amazing opportunity, possibility for cash flow and appreciation. Yeah. And there's amazing property management companies that handle everything for you. So, you can buy something in London, Sarnia, Hamilton, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls. Yeah. I love exploring those areas for investments.
And the nice thing about multifamily is, you're not really relying on one tenant to pay your overhead. So if you have like a 6 unit or 10 unit, whatever it is, if 2 or 3 of your tenants stop paying, you still have the income coming in from the other tenants.
You're not hurting. The whole burden of the mortgage is not on just one person. So that helps quite a bit. So your cash flow might be a little less here and there, but overall you're winning because mortgage buy down continues to happen. Yeah.
And what I usually tell people is, like, if you're buying multifamily, make sure that you actually ensure that it's zoned for that purpose. So if you're buying a 6 unit, make sure it's actually approved for as a 6 unit, because a lot of times we'll have like closings that come in where we do a zoning compliance search and it comes back as zoned as single family home, and it was bought as a duplex. So I always tell people, like, make sure you're diligent from the get-go before you actually firm up this agreement to make sure you know what you're buying. Is it actually a multifamily property?
Yep. I actually had to go through that when I was buying something in Sudbury. Other than the zoning, there's also a fire compliance that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So all of those things were a big learning experience for me. So it was an 8-plex, but then it actually ended up being a 7-plex because it was an additional of the 8th unit, which was not correct according to zoning. There was no fire compliance on it.
Okay.
So they had to redo the listing and negotiate on the price with me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So what question should I ask now? She's answering a lot of my questions like this.
She's good.
She's really good. Yeah. She's,
non-real estate stuff was fun too. Netflix. Who doesn't like Netflix?
I love Netflix. It puts me to sleep every night.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go to sleep without having Netflix.
I was ecstatic when Seinfeld came on Netflix. But Friends is gone. But then that's why I got Crave.
Are you doing something?
Keep going.
Okay. So, Salwa, let me ask you another question. And I think we briefly touched upon this on your podcast too, right? You said you did 12 closings in 2020.
Yeah, 2021.
2021. Why wasn't I the lawyer involved in those closings?
I didn't know you. I actually just met you, I want to say 6 months ago.
Yeah. You were here for our office.
Your launch party.
Yeah, for our launch party. That's right.
Yeah.
So I guess if a client's looking to buy a property, or invest as an investment or as an end user, I guess what would be your advice to them in this market? Obviously, you would rather have them contact you because every situation is different. But I guess, like, what general advice do you have for someone who's thinking of buying right now? Would you say hold off, or would you say it's a good time to get in the market? Just your opinion, I guess.
If they're first-time home buyers, I would highly recommend they talk to me, and I can show them on the whiteboard why it makes complete sense to buy right now.
Okay.
So say it's a couple that wants to buy and they're on the fence and they're first-time home buyers. They're probably paying rent anywhere between $2,200 to $2,600. Let's just say that's the average 1-bedroom or 1+1 condo rent right now. If I'm able to find them a condo that is between $450,000 to $500,000 right now, which is actually possible, the condo market, there's a lot of deals to be found.
In Toronto?
In Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm able to get them something between the $450,000 to $500,000 mark, their mortgage payment will be $2,100 to $2,400, and then maintenance of about $300 to $400, and then we'll find the newer buildings that have only electricity and internet.
Okay.
So those are the 2 extra utilities they'll have to pay for.
Okay. And how much were these cost? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So these will cost about $450,000 to $520,000 max.
And how much were these condos cost? Like when the market was hot, I guess. Like let's say 2 years ago.
$575,000 to $600,000.
Okay, so there has been like a significant.
Definitely.
Okay.
And there's a lot of inventory too.
Okay.
Because a lot of investors that bought it at the 1% rates are not able to make those payments right now, right? So if a first-time home buyer is able to secure the current mortgage rate, about 5 to 6%, their payment's going to be high for a mortgage of about $380,000 to $400,000. But that number plus the maintenance, they're probably paying maybe $300 to $400 more than renting.
Yeah.
So they should make the move now, because a year from now they will be so happy they bit the bullet, got in the market, because that asset that they're buying for about $500,000 will appreciate.
Yeah, it's Toronto. I don't think Toronto's ever going to take a hit when it comes to real estate, long term at least.
Yeah, not a bad hit. Because the hit that it had to take, it's taken already right now, right?
It's more of a correction, I guess.
Correct. So if you're paying rent of about $2,200 to $2,600, it's a no-brainer. There's actually some areas where you can buy a 2-bedroom condo for around that price. I wouldn't recommend those buildings because the maintenance fee is high. So it's all about what your monthly cost is going to be.
Yeah.
Some areas of Etobicoke, Scarborough, it's possible to find a 2-bedroom at $575, $550 to $575.
Okay.
But then maintenance fee is going to be about $600, $700. So there is a lot of ways to do the numbers and figure out the right solution, but I would never say wait on the sidelines right now. I mean, the interest rates have gone up so much, and everybody was like waiting for a recession. We have been in a recession.
We have been in a recession,
now.
yeah.
So
I think so
let's
too.
make a move.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I think people don't study historical trends, and they don't understand that, and I don't blame them either, that the market has already kind of corrected itself and significantly dropped in majority of areas in Ontario, and they want it to get to a point where it's the right time to buy. But when that happens, everyone's going to jump back into the market. It's just going to become a frenzy again.
Yeah.
So is it really worth actually waiting for that, to that point where it just becomes bidding wars again? People are making firm offers,
That's
no conditions,
Yeah.
buying remotely without seeing the property. And I just think it's a good time to actually sit back and make an offer where you can actually do your due diligence in advance and even take your time buying something. Like no one's saying that you should be in a rush to buy, but at the end of the day, do you want to be put in that situation again where you're just going to be losing bids because the market's hot again?
Exactly.
And I think that's going to happen once rates begin to drop or stabilize, whatever it is.
Yeah, buyers are so lucky right now. They can take their pick.
Yeah.
They can put whatever conditions they want.
Yeah.
They can do an inspection.
Yeah.
They can do an appraisal if they want. And renegotiate the price as many times as possible. We're so lucky. This is a balanced market. Being in the business for 2 years, I've never seen a balanced market. So this is very exciting for me and all the buyers that I'm working with, because we're like, take your time. Let's see more. Let's compare.
Of course.
It's a great time to do that.
100%, yeah. You mentioned Sudbury and other areas in Ontario to invest in outside of Toronto. And I know Toronto will always, as I said before, hold its value.
Yeah.
What are some like areas that you recommend other than, you mentioned Sudbury and I think you mentioned
Niagara
Hamilton
Falls.
as well, Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls and Hamilton.
So I keep hearing things about Niagara Falls too. So what's, I guess, allowing people to shift towards that area and start parking your money in? Because when I think about Niagara Falls, I think about, going to the casino or, you're close to the border. But I guess what's pushing people to invest in those areas, and why is it a good place to invest?
A lot of people left Toronto during COVID because they wanted bigger backyards and more space. And Niagara Falls ended up being a really good destination for families that wanted that large home, large backyard living, right? A lot of retirees have moved there as well. So with the high cost of living in Toronto, a lot of young families have opted to move to Niagara Falls too, because they're all working remotely. A lot of jobs have the option to work remotely.
That's right.
So Niagara is booming in that way, prices wise, because a lot of influx of young families happened. But then I noticed in the last 2 years, a lot of the new immigrants also were finding Toronto to be very, very unaffordable. So they started finding rentals in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
So a lot of the investors were able to increase rents, like the market rents are pretty significant in Niagara Falls. They're almost as close to Toronto right now.
Really? Okay.
Just because anything you put up for rent gets rented really fast.
Is it true that there's bidding wars for rentals right now?
Yeah, I had a couple bidding wars.
Okay.
For an area that I never would have guessed, Angus, Ontario. Do you know where that is?
I've heard of it. Never been there.
Yeah, I bought a pre-con there.
Okay.
And I was so nervous because, my mortgage payment is pretty high. I had to close on it. Assignment was not an option. TD Bank didn't appraise it at the value that I bought it at.
A lot.
So I had to rent it. And I had 6 offers within 24 hours of listing.
Wow.
Yeah,
in Angus.
It was like over
What's in
asking.
Angus?
I don't know. I was really happy.
Yeah.
But that's happening in Niagara Falls and Hamilton as well.
Okay.
Because a lot of the buyers that were wanting to buy got priced out of the market. So they're like, for 1 year, we're going to rent.
Yeah.
They have the funds, like they had their down payment, but they're priced out. So a lot of people are even offering more months of rent. Like we'll pay 6 months rent up front on a 1 year lease.
Yeah.
So that's happening in Hamilton and Niagara.
It's funny that you mentioned Hamilton because, Hamilton, when I picture Hamilton, I picture, the steel plant or, it's downtown can be a little bit rough.
Yeah, it is.
But I heard from somebody recently where there's an architect from Toronto and he's beginning to develop a lot in Hamilton and they're trying to gentrify the city and kind of, I guess, turn it into, one of those Liberty Village type vibes.
Yeah, very artsy.
Yeah, so Hamilton's a market that I've been looking at for a while. But I think that for an investor, it'd be good because you're not too far from Toronto.
Yeah.
Niagara is kind of a way out, but if you're moving there as an end user, that makes sense. But do you think that Hamilton will go through the progression, in your opinion, that we've seen with Toronto the last 15 to 20 years?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Some parts of Hamilton are already there. So a lot of my clients this year that were upsizing moved to Waterdown.
Okay, yeah.
So Waterdown is right next to Aldershot GO Station. So it's one of the posher areas of Hamilton, to say. Townhomes are being sold at 800 to 900,000.
Wow, that's expensive.
Semi-detached are already at 1.1.
Okay.
So this is like Toronto kind prices, right? So you can only imagine the pockets of Hamilton that haven't hit the peak will eventually hit the peak because the demand is there. And on the contrary, one of my first-time home buyer clients, I got them a detached home for $500,000 in Hamilton downtown. Obviously not the best area, but it's their foot in the door. After living in it for about 6 months, they're already looking at an increased value by 35 to 40K. And the enhancements they made to the home, that's forced appreciation of another like 30 to 40K.
Yeah.
So they bought it for 500,000. It's going to appraise at 600,000 by next year. So it's a very promising area to invest in.
Okay. Interesting. Feel if you're comfortable answering this question, obviously, because it's actually a question that I generally have for realtors. But I noticed that a lot of people that are selling their homes, especially in the GTA, when they're looking for a realtor, they don't look at necessarily the experience the realtor may have. The first question they ask is, what commission are you going to charge me? And it's the same thing for us as lawyers. The first thing that people ask us, including the mortgage broker or realtor, obviously the client, how much is the closing fee? And it varies, obviously, because we do searches, which cost us money. Depending on the deal, more searches cost more money. Title insurance, it may cost more money for a property in Brampton that's 1.5 million. It might cost less for a property in Toronto that's $1 million. It just varies.
Definitely.
So I guess from the real estate point of view, when a client comes to you and says, "What's your commission?" "Oh, can you bring it down to 1% or 0.5%?" Like, what's your take on that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I've had to handle that a lot. And I think the beginning of the year to now, we're in November, my mindset has completely changed. My outlook has completely changed. So it's all about, I don't mean to sound very like woo-woo and like energy and stuff, but it's exactly what it is, right? A lot of the people that were asking me, can you discount your commission in the beginning of the year? I felt obligated to say yes, because I was coming from an energy of like desperation and lack. I needed the deals. I was like, oh, fine, I'll discount my commission. But then when spring happened and I was going to coaching and I was working on myself and working on my self-worth, I realized that that's not an option. In the corporate world, these people that are working and they have an annual salary, if their boss said to them, I want you to do this work, but I'm going to give you 25% less than what I usually give you in your paycheck. Okay. Do you have any incentive to work hard and do a good job?
No.
Not at all. So what happened is when somebody came to me with that objection the next time, and I gave them that analogy, and I said, I have no reason to do my best to negotiate the best way and get you the best price possible. The higher I'm able to sell the property for you, the more money you have in your pocket, and the better it is for me. So after one or two of those discussions, I think when I increased my self-esteem that I deserve the full 5% commission, all the clients that came to me did not have that objection. So I just had to mentally be prepared to say no, because discount agents do get you discount results.
Yeah.
If you want to work with a discount agent, discount brokerage, I have a list. I can share that with you. Okay. It won't be me, So it was hard because you have to be willing to let business go. Okay. And I did.
Okay. Fair enough.
Did you say no to business?
I mean, I think initially when we started our law firm, a lot of clients were coming in from referrals, and you don't want to burn that referral. And they'll say that, you know what, this referral source recommended you, but my last lawyer charges this much. So you would either match it or try to beat it. Yeah. I would say 9 times out of 10, you would definitely beat the price, because you're trying to build that relationship with the referral. And once you build that relationship with the referral, you can kind of structure your prices in a way that makes sense for yourself. and also for the referral because they're sending you a volume of transactions. But I think it's a good way to get your foot through the door. But we've always charged fees also based on clients' financial situations. A lot of clients can't afford it, or they're so thinly stretched where they may need to borrow money or dip into like a line of credit. And if they're in that situation, we usually try to help them out with our fees. Like our fees have always been fair. But yeah, no, you definitely have to know your self-worth because we do spend a lot of time closing a transaction. Like obviously not discounting mortgage brokers or realtors, but when it comes down to closing it before a certain timeline, it's like literally down to the last minute.
Efficiency is required.
You have to register the deal before 5 p.m. on the day of closing. You don't. Then you got to either push the next day or close in escrow, whatever it is. There might be additional fees. So we're working hard to make sure our clients are protected so they don't have to pay additional fees on top if it doesn't close.
That would be nice.
So it goes back to what you were saying, like you have to know your self-worth at the end of the day, right?
But I think in the industry, there is a little bit of this notion that realtors make a lot of money. So it's okay for them to give us a part of their paycheck. And I do blame a lot of the realtors that have been in the business for a very long time because they did that. You know, there's a lot of people that are listing for $9.99 or like cashbacks, and
even on the buyer side,
so unethical. Exactly. Like I have said no to buyers that said, well, how much cashback will you give me? And I said, you don't have to work with me.
Yeah, because they don't understand that that's your livelihood. That's your career.
And nobody sees what happens in the back end, right? Finding the properties that match your criteria, booking showings, showing you the homes, negotiating offers. It seems like it's not valued. A lot of people don't see what we do. And you know, the negotiating thing, of course, you become better at it over time. So a lot of times if I'm able to negotiate a really good deal, you know, if it's a brand new construction that somebody just closed on, if I'm able to negotiate appliances too, people don't realize that took a lot of work. Like I used my skills that I've been honing for some time to get it done for you now. So I do deserve my paycheck.
100%. And like you said, you're not motivated if you're not being, you know, paid what you're worth. Even when it comes to listing a property, if someone's going to do it for 1%, you're not going to stage the property. You're not going to get proper professional photos taken. You're not going to, you know, reach out to your network. You're just going to probably list it and say, okay, you know what? Hopefully it sells. But I mean, I don't blame realtors because at the end of the day, you get what you pay for, right? So it definitely comes down to self-worth. And I think that's in any industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a realtor, whether you're, like you said, the 9 to 5 example, I'm going to do this, or you're going to do this for me, but at a 25% discount. That's a good analogy. I've never heard that before.
I'll be taking some long coffee breaks.
Yeah. I'm not showing up tomorrow to work. Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I've been very blessed that all the clients that I have worked with this year have been very appreciative of what I can do for them. And with the exception of a couple in the beginning of the year, nobody has asked me for a cashback or a reduced commission.
Good. Outside of real estate, I guess, what advice would you have for people that may be, you know, going through a rough time during this recession that we're in, or potential recession that we're going to encounter? Because I know people are definitely struggling a little bit. Like we see it on our end, people that are not able to afford their mortgages, or, you know, they've over leveraged themselves, or, you know, a lot of people are losing their jobs because these big companies are just going through mass firings, unfortunately. But I guess, like, what advice would you have for people out there? Because I know you're a grinder, you're a hustler, and you're still doing pretty well in this market. So I guess what general advice would you give to people who are kind of struggling in any industry?
I think that a time like this is when it's the best opportunity for you to dig deep. A lot of times when bad things happen and, you know, bank accounts don't look as full as they used to, it affects our mind. So now is the time to really use this as an opportunity and see, why is this happening to you? And change that mindset. This is not happening to you. This is happening for you. Maybe there is a bigger purpose. And if you just dig a little deeper, try to understand what it is that you want to do, this is a time to start making it happen, right? A lot of people get laid off, and then instead of looking for another job right away, maybe take the opportunity. If you were to start a business, what would it be? If you were to choose a self-employment route, what would it be? Take a stock of what do you have available. How is your discipline? How is your morning routine? Who are the people that you're surrounding yourselves with?
Which is important.
And then, you know, restart like a like a life plan. I don't even want to say a business plan, a life plan, a vision board.
Our life is a business.
Exactly. Your life is a business, you know, and the good thing is that we're so lucky being in Canada. There is still opportunities to do things on the side, right? Like when I was buying my second property, I loved the property, but I didn't know where my down payment's going to come from. Like I had a little bit of savings, but I didn't have 20% down. So I started driving Uber. I was working at IBM 9 to 5, and then 5 to 11 till midnight. I was driving Uber.
Yeah, I admire that. That's a hustler mentality.
And we're so lucky that we can do that over here. You know, you can do Uber, you can do Uber Eats. You could start an e-commerce business, you know, sell something on Amazon.
Drop shipping.
Exactly, drop shipping. So I looked into all of those things.
Forex trading, whatever that is. I see. I get added like every week. The Forex trader, you want to make $1 million? I'm like, yeah, but this is fraud.
How amazing would that be if it was true, right?
I don't know. I got to learn about Forex trading, I guess.
But there's some things you can actually do, like drive Uber. But at the same time, gaining knowledge. There's a lot of books available. YouTube is the best university possible. Like I don't even
and it's free.
Believe in university anymore, but I would go on YouTube and learn something. Knowledge is power. Change your mindset. Watch some Grant Cardone videos.
I love Grant Cardone,
And I think this is the time to do something that you've never done before. Like, do something for different results, right? So stuff that you're doing is not working out. Let's try something different.
Yeah, and I think you're a good inspiration because everyone in our industry is probably not doing as well as they were the last 3 years. But I wouldn't say doing well, but comparatively the volume of transactions that you may have been doing. But I mean, you're still doing deals. I'm still doing deals. A lot of my colleagues are still doing deals. And everybody that I speak to that's still steady and doing consistent business, they all have the same mindset where they're just constantly hunting, constantly, you know, making new relationships, going out there, making themselves vulnerable, talking to as many people as possible, not afraid of rejection, right? So
still working on that.
I mean, it is what it is when it comes to rejection. Rejection is a part of business. I mean, a lot of these big companies before they started, Starbucks being a prime example, he was rejected by so many banks before he started Starbucks. So I think that, again, back to what I was saying is you're a prime example of someone who shows that you can still do well in this industry in real estate, and don't let the media and don't let what people are saying to you hold you back. Surround yourself around people that are going to motivate you. That's super important, whether it's like in your business life, whether it's like in your personal life, and it can be intertwined, right? Because a lot of what I do, and I'm assuming a lot of what you do, is at the end of the day, just immersed in one another, business and personal, right? So I think that's a good piece of advice. And also take stock of your friendships. A lot of times, you know, being in a situation like we are in right now, where the cost of living is so high, inflation has gone up, going out to dinner, drinks, etc., it's a very different situation than it used to be 4 or 5 years ago. So take stock of your friendships. What is it that you're doing on the weekends that is putting you in a position where budgeting is just not happening for you? Are these people working and then waiting for the weekend to party? Is partying really necessary? Is drinking really necessary? Those kinds of things are very important to pay attention to now, because who you're surrounding yourself with is literally a reflection of where you could be 5 years 100%,
from now. I would rather be alone than be surrounded by people that are going to bring me down. You have
to audit your life essentially every couple of months, every year, whether it's your friend circle, whether it's your habits. I think it's important to sit back and look at yourself objectively and just say, like, am I on the right track, right? What can I do differently at the end of the day? No one's perfect, but I think that we can definitely continue to improve ourselves. Not be a victim. I think that's important too.
Take control of your life. Now is the time. The government doesn't give a shit. Your job doesn't give a shit. You have to make it. You have to give a shit and do something about it.
So, I mean, this is a little bit of a personal question, I guess. Again, in terms of, you said government, what do you think about our current government and what they're doing to, you know, help people
help.
Yeah.
I hate what's happening with our government right now.
Okay.
I came to Canada in 2003, so I was very, very thankful that I was able to immigrate to a country. You know, my family brought me here because they wanted a better life for us.
Where did you come from?
Better education from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So in Saudi Arabia, after grade 10, there's no schools for girls.
Oh.
So the idea was that we will immigrate to Canada or to the US because we have a lot of family there.
Yeah.
But they wanted to come to Canada because my parents are professionals. So the point system on that immigration application is easy for them to get admitted to the country where my mom's a teacher, my dad's an electrical engineer. You know, I wanted to go to University of Toronto. So when we came in 2003 to what it is now, it's bizarre. It's not the same as it used to be. And obviously the way the pandemic was handled, it just made me rethink everything about what Canada has to offer. They're not empowering people to take control of their lives. They want them to be slaves, in my opinion. Especially when the government is handing out CERB or those, whatever those payments were.
Yeah, they're giving those payments during COVID to help people, I guess, get through.
It makes people be dependent on it, and people don't have the motivation anymore to really work hard. And I think that the immigration influx that's happening right now, it's great, like from a humanitarian perspective, it's wonderful. I was an immigrant, but after spending 20 years here, I'm just like, does it even make sense? Because our hard-earned money, the taxes that we're paying, are going towards helping people that are not even in Canada. You know, our prime minister loves sending money to all the other parts of the world that they have crisis going. But what about the people that are in your country that are struggling right now? Why is education so much more expensive than it used to be? Why are business owners and entrepreneurs not winning? Because they just want to tax us every which way possible. Capital gains tax is a big example, you know, for real estate investors.
Yeah, now it's you have to hold on to the property for 1 year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just don't want you to win. So I'm going to move to Mexico.
Yeah, I'll probably go to Costa Rica.
I like that plan.
Yeah. No, I think I'll probably keep my political thoughts to myself. I have too many friends. I have too many friends in politics, and they're all with different parts.
From sharing all of this stuff,
I
but the truth
that.
is the truth, right? Like this is how I feel.
Yeah,
I will make the most of what's possible for me over here, but I want to be able to spend my winters elsewhere. Yeah. So I got to work hard to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you enjoy it more when you like constantly, you know, work, and then you get that downtime. I feel like you appreciate it so much more. Whereas
you earned it.
Yeah, you earned it. You're like, oh man, this is nice, you know? And then you get to a point, myself, where I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go back to work. Because I do enjoy the grind. I do enjoy what I do now.
I do.
There are points that are obviously stressful. I'm sure you encounter those situations. You were telling me about one earlier.
Yeah, so crazy.
So I get it. No, I think that's important. But you also touched back on how people are struggling here, and then you think the government's not doing enough here, and they're doing a lot of stuff, I guess, overseas. And I do think that a lot of people should contribute and try to help people within their own community. I do think it's important to donate to charitable organizations, but I think the best way to give back is to your own community. And if the government's not doing it, then sometimes you just got to take things into your own hands. So I guess what do you do to try to give back? Because I'm a firm believer of giving back to the community, whether it's like donations, whether it's like trying to just help somebody. I guess what do you try to do to give back to the community?
Well, other than like monetary, donations at my mosque, I like to give time. Like I like to do service, educating people about finances, the real estate market, empowering people to start their own investment portfolios. I find value in sharing knowledge way more. I feel like that goes a long way. Sometimes with, donations and charitable organizations, the line to who's getting the money is so twisted and confusing that I'd rather empower people to do more for themselves. Especially for women, right? Coming from Saudi Arabia, I never imagined this would be my life. So I want to share what's possible for women in the Middle East and South Asian countries and tell them that they don't need to wait to start their own empire.
So you said females can't go to school after grade 12 in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So what do they do after grade 12?
Usually they get married.
Okay.
Things are a little different now. There is
yeah.
a lot of educational opportunities there. They just weren't at that time.
Okay, it's changed now.
It's very different now. Under the new, the kingdom is different. But
the kingdom.
It's a monarchy.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, it's the kingdom of
Fancy.
Saudi Arabia. It was a fun country to grow up in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Very rich. That Arab money, you could imagine.
Yeah.
The malls and everything. Like, it was so funny because when I came to Canada, a lot of people were like, so did you travel on camels? And I was like, have you?
Racist.
Yeah. I didn't know about racism back then.
I didn't know about racism.
They were like, is Osama bin Laden related to you?
Oh my God.
Because that was happening at that time.
That's really racist.
So very ignorant.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you even seen the malls there? Like, your fancy malls over here look like a peasant's mall compared to the ones in Saudi Arabia. It's like, it's ridiculous how people are just so ignorant. Yeah. But of course, being in Canada 20 years, I do miss the life in Saudi Arabia, but I feel exponentially blessed because what I am doing now, I never could have imagined having the freedom and having the ability to use my mind the way that I can do now. So, that's the best gift I can give to other people is to share the knowledge.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. I have 2 daughters, so I could not imagine being in that situation where, I'm in a place where maybe after grade 12, they have to get married, right? So I want to keep them around as long as I can.
Exactly.
So, no, I think that's, you came to a great country for that.
I did.
And obviously, I think we're like in a kind of we're struggling a little bit with our government. And again, I'll keep my political opinions to myself, but hopefully it gets better.
I really hope so.
We definitely hit difficult times with the Canadian government in the past, but I think right now what we're facing is a little bit different because there's so much happening in Canada, obviously with the housing crisis and, inflation and just so many moving parts. But I do think Canada's still a great country to live in.
Yeah, so except for the winters.
Except for the winters. The winters suck here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great country. We should all feel very blessed, very privileged, actually. But I think that the victim mentality helps no one.
No, it doesn't.
So people do need to take matters in their own hands. Start a business, grow your communities. If you don't want to start a business alone, get your friends involved.
Yeah.
And all of those things will definitely help.
Yeah.
There is an abundance of opportunities and money to be made.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
So you said that you would like to have your own vineyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Napa Valley.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I don't want it to be in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Ideally, I would like to go to Italy, but or Portugal.
Okay.
Because I love the Douro wine from Portugal.
Okay.
And it could be like a winter getaway. And I could be involved in choosing all the grapes. And starting my own wine business.
Yeah.
Find the best restaurants that would carry my wine. Maybe I'll have a restaurant too.
What would you call your wine? Salwa? Salwa wine.
So my company name is.
He's laughing.
That doesn't have a nice ring to it.
You go to the keg and you're like, what? Can I have the Sal wine? Sal wine.
That would be funny. Yeah. But I would come up with a fun name. My company name is Serendipity Homes. So I like names with S because I want to use, my name starts with S. So I'll come up with a fun name, I'm sure. What about you? What do you want to do yours?
I mean, I actually wanted to open up a winery in a past life, but I can't because I'm not allowed to open up a winery. I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God, that sounds serious.
I'll leave it at that. But I do enjoy wine.
Me too.
My go-to wine is bread and butter.
I've had that.
Yeah, it's like a very reasonably priced wine.
It's a nice medium-bodied wine.
Yeah. So if bread and butter is ever looking for endorsements, you can find me.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, sponsorship and endorsements. You know where to find me. Yeah.
I really like 19 Crimes.
That's a good one too. It's a little dry, but I like it. Yeah,
I like the drier.
Okay.
The drier, the better.
Okay.
So you know how at LCBO there is the tag with the price, but it also says how many grams of sugar per liter?
I've never looked at that before.
You gotta look at that.
Yeah, I just drink the wine.
So the 2 gram per liter, 3 gram per liter, those are my vibe.
Yeah. I started drinking wine because I heard it was healthy, and then I saw an article that said no amount of alcohol is healthy for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you make your own wine at home, I'm sure like you can avoid putting in the sulfites and all that fun stuff, because that kills it.
But I think you have to be very, very careful making your own alcohol at home. Because I've heard some stories.
Resveratrol is the thing that's present in blueberries and grapes. That's what makes the wine healthy.
Okay.
But the way they make wine with the sulfites and stuff is kind of like toxic.
Okay.
Oh shit, but I shouldn't tell you that because you actually enjoy having a glass of wine every now and then.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I'm still going to do it.
Okay, me too. Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for being on my podcast.
Anytime.
I appreciate your time as always, and continue to be an inspiration for all the realtors and all the entrepreneurs out there, and keep killing it. Keep doing your thing.
Absolutely. You too. And we'll do business soon.
Appreciate it, Salwa. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching my podcast, Meritainment. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Love it.
Is that good?
That's good.
Okay. All right. Sweet.
That was fun.
Yeah.